Bit of an update. This is day 7 of our winging out west tour. We're still in the middle of nowhere, which is good. I think we've already been to 3 campsites. Or 4. Can't remember. We've been away for 3 weeks. Anyway, we're in the middle of nowhere. Every car that drives past, that's how friendly they are out here in the country. They all wave to you. I mean, everybody waves to you. It doesn't matter if they're travellers or just as long as they're locals. They wave to you. You'd be driving along, just, you know, there's only trees and that. All of a sudden you'll drop down into a bit of gorge country with big rocky escarpments all around you. That's the great outback.
So welcome to the third and final part of our Winging It Way Out West tour. And as Wano says, the landscape is one of the great features of the outback. But there is also ancient history to discover if you just know where to look.
Just on our way to the next camp spot, and just happened to come across this nammer hole. You know what a nammer hole is? It's one of these things. This was this is what the Aboriginals used in the area for the water supply in the middle of the arid outback. You see it's pretty desolate out here. Not much out here. But then you come across these holes, usually in rocks. It's a fairly rocky sort of surface here. And they fill up with water, and what they used to do is put rocks or something over the top, so help with the evaporation, so you wouldn't get too much in the way of the sun just really taking away the water, and also to stop wildlife from falling in it and contaminating their drinking water. But at the moment, this one being open, you can see in here, they got some nice tadpoles in there. So we won't be drinking out of this one. It's full of baby toads. But it's good to see anyway. What do you reckon, Wayno?
Actually, I didn't think there was water in it, but that's cool.
Yeah. With the amount of rain we've had, or they've had around out here, there's a fair chance it was always going to have some water in it. But for how long, I don't know. Different nammer holes do different things. But as you can see, it's solid rock. So this becomes a permanent sort of water source.
Nice and cool.
And you don't know how deep it is. Sometimes they go in and they go in underneath, and we could be standing on like a big well here, or it could be just a straight hole. But pretty cool to come across one anyway.
I reckon.
So, there you go. A little bit of outback Aboriginal history for you.
There's a wasp coming in for a drink. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's cool. Alright, here we are. Different campsite, different river. Even though it looks the same. But this one is a bit lighter brown water. Anyway. I've chucked a couple of yabby traps in. I've done a bit of a tricky one. Just chucked them in a bit deep. I've got two here and two over the bank. You can see Phil down there getting ready to have a fish. We're just going to have a bit of a cast this afternoon. There's a lot of different sort of fish in this river. A few snags, so I'm just going to fish around the snags, see what happens.
Well, here we are. Another campsite, another river, another GoPro issue. No idea what's going on. Here we are. Another river. A lot more flies. And hopefully, different opportunity for some fish. We'll see how we go this time. Some nice snags, a bit later in the afternoon. So, we've just arrived, set up camp, and basically got the kayaks ready, and in we go. We'll try old pinky lure. Wasn't very successful in the last place, but hopefully it'll be successful in this one. These flies are still murdering us. They should chuff off soon. And we should get down to business. Alright, try this first log, first snag. Almost straight off. First things first. You gotta have one of these. Oh, it's good stuff.
Now, I'd like to tell you that this is one of the most epic freshwater fishing sessions that Wayno and I have ever had. But I'm pretty sure you all know how it's going to go. So we might just fast forward and start with something a little different tomorrow.
Throughout this whole trip, along all these dirt roads, we could not count how many of these things we've seen on the roads. This one's a bearded dragon, but there's so many different types of lizards, and it's just that they've exploded. The populations, I'm pretty sure, have exploded out here because of the extra rains. And we've seen more of these things than we have of kangaroos, believe it or not. And normally you just see thousands of kangaroos. So this fella's just chilling here. He's a bit cold. I think he's still waiting to warm up a bit. That's probably the only reason why I've been able to handle him. He's still a little bit sleepy, but they're an awesome Australian animal. We put him back down, and hopefully he'll warm up and he'll take off.
So we might just leave old mate here to recharge via the solar, while we head off in search of some old ruins.
Apart from finding a shitload of flies, we've also found the old station homestead, which sat here for a long time. I'll come up with the dates later. Hopefully. But there's not much left. There's not much of the actual homestead. There's pretty much nothing of the home, except the old outhouse that's sitting here, and the old chook shed. But the fence still lines the property, and there's a lot of broken glass and other little relics around the place. But it's not far off the river, so you always need to be close to the water, these old properties. So the river that we're camped on it runs just past here. So it's a dry old place. If it wasn't for the rain we recently had,
It'd be a lot drier if there's no rain.
A lot drier, no rain. Certainly be dusty, hot in summer, and pretty hard place to live. So you got to hand it to the old timers. They certainly put themselves through a bit of hardship just to get the food on the plate.
Yes.
So,
yes. Nice place to come camping for a couple of days, but you wouldn't want to live out here.
No.
If you do, make sure you've got air conditioning.
So, have a bit of a wander around. A dead giveaway to any old homestead is the old bougainvillea over the arbour across the front gate. Every home had to have them. So the bougainvilleas were pretty tough party plants while they used to use them out in places like this. But they end up being a pretty big weed here in Australia.
This funny shaped structure is actually a two-storey chook shed. It was built because of the river's tendency to flood and allowed the chickens to move into the penthouse when the chook shed values went up due to the sudden water views. So if you're wondering just what happened to the homestead, well, it was actually removed and taken further up the road, and it now gets used as the local ranger station.
Better than my gate at home.
The old farmer's rule. Leave the gates as you found them.
Leaving the old homestead, we crossed over the very dry riverbed that runs through this station. You can imagine the amount of water it would take to flow through here to get those chooks seeking higher ground.
Little piggy's feet.
So as we continue along this track, another totally unexpected landmark appears. Amongst the mostly barren plains is literally an oasis in the desert. A shallow yet permanent lagoon which serves as a haven for many varieties of waterbirds. Located at the end of the track is the very reason this station existed. Sheep. These are the ruins of the shearing sheds and holding pens that would have been an absolute hive of activity during shearing season. Today, they are left as a reminder of a bygone era where tough men and women forged their existence in an even tougher landscape. Now, the farm utes back in the day didn't have much in the way of creature comforts, but they did come with one vital accessory. A mini tinny, of course. Or in this case, a mini Titanic. This boat was handmade from steel in the foundry of Harvey & Sons in Brisbane. Imagine trying to chuck this one up on your roof racks. Speaking of things that float, and with the day drawing to a close, Wayno and Hales had to get back to camp and check the yabby pots before dark.
Holy crap, put it in. Alright. Holy shit. I mean... big yabbies, like big.
That was my foot.
And
a fish. Well, that's exciting.
I know, so it's just on dark. Haley and I have come back and we end up pulling another 2 crayfish out of the pots. As you can see, I'll hold this light up here. Bit better view. And probably the biggest fella is this one here. You want to hold him?
I wanted to pick him up.
So these are probably the biggest red claw I've ever seen. If not ever seen, what I've caught before. Yeah, watch it, they'll flick and then try and get away. Oh no. So that's the biggest one. Haley's got a new pet. So we're going to work out how we're going to cook these now.
Well, good morning. It's time to go and check these pots again. I chucked them in last night. Let's see how we go. Wayno's down there, loading up. The pots, wow, they're out here, lined up. So let's go see what we got. See if there's lobster for lunch or not. Here's hoping. Just had to let the sardines. Oh. And the winner is one. Only a baby one by your standards.
Only baby this one, yep.
Ooh, he's trying to get out the hole. He went straight for it. Little baby one.
Nice. One down, 60 to go. We'll be living like kings later.
Oh, a little grunter from you.
Yeah, a little grunter. No chicken bones.
No chicken bones.
He's gone. Interesting.
He's a little fishy. Hopefully he grows up to a big one. Next time we come here, we might actually catch him on a lure.
Interesting, there's no bones.
Hmm.
Oh. Wow.
Nice one.
Unbeaten. Just the one.
Well, one's better than none. He's been chopping on chicken bone. There's the chicken bone. Honey soy chicken bones, eh? Honey soy chicken bones, curry chicken. Don't need any fancy, other fancy bait you have for these, which is, I don't know what.
There we go. Oh, Yeski.
And he just fits.
Awesome.
2 fishies.
If you ever need a fish out here,
Or is it just one?
no, just one.
Oh. What?
That's a little yellow.
Little yellow belly.
Yeah. They're fat, Neil.
Yeah. There's plenty of cherubin in here, as we found out.
What's wrong with these fish?
I'm regretting not bringing my cherubin pots now. Silly mistake. Oh well, we're going to go back and pack up now.
Unfortunately, but
We'll, we've got a bit of a drive ahead to the next spot, our final destination for the trip. So we'll go and pack up, get going, and see what we got up there. A little bit to see and do, I think, a little bit to explore. We'll have a look. Right, back to camp. So with everything all packed up and the campsite looking like we were never here, we hit the long dusty roads once again.
Looks like we're taking a few more dirt roads and back roads to our next camp destination, which is, don't know, I'm following Phil, that's the way it works.
Little gems like that in the middle of this really arid countryside, it just makes this trip worthwhile. I'm actually thinking about maybe we should stop here for lunch. What do you think? Should we stop here for a bit of lunch, a bit of bite to eat? Just a little bit of an offshoot area here on my right. Let's go in there and have a bit of a break, eh? Yep. Righto, we're doing it. Not going to see anything on this GoPro, unfortunately, but up here there's a bit of a lagoon, like where it sort of opens out a bit, and there's a pelican out there. We are in the middle of
basically central Queensland, and the pelicans know exactly where the water is. And he's up there having a bit of a kip, a bit of a swim around, I suppose. In the middle of this dry, like it's still pretty dry. It's all dusty roads getting in here. But then you get to these areas where they have seen that rain, and the place. These are just little oases in the middle of a desert. That's all I can say. It's pretty awesome to see. Loving it.
After a well-needed respite beside the river, we once again started inching towards our goal for today.
Okay, mate, how you going? Do you need a left or you right? You alright? Alright. You have fun now, you hear? There's another car coming, I'll just let them know that you're right for a left. Alright, catch you later.
They're quick. Pretty much every time we see an emu, it takes off into the bush, as you'd expect. Corrugations. And but they've got chicks, usually 4 or 5 chicks with them. The nature of spring, I suppose. But interesting fact is, with the emus, it's not mum that looks after the chicks, it's dad. So mum generally lays the eggs, dad comes and sits on them, and mum takes off. And dad's left to rear the chicks up until they're old enough to fend for themselves. So they're the ultimate single dads, I suppose, raising 4, sometimes 5 children all by themselves until mum comes back for another go, I suppose. So that's nature for you. Driving down on these roads on this trip has really solidified the way I built this patrol, what I did do, and more importantly what I didn't do to it. When I first bought it, I had a bit of a brief what I was going to do, and I started to get a little bit outside of that over the years and started to see a few little things, sort of little issues starting to creep in. And so I went back to the drawing board and went back to my original thoughts of what I wanted to do, and I'm really reaping the rewards now. Now everyone knows, the TD42s, they have a reputation for being kettles, as they call them, because they're always overheating. And the big thing I've found, this is my 4th patrol, I've had them for a long time, but the big thing I've found is the only reason they really overheat is because people try and extract a lot of power out of them, and so they keep winding that fuel up, wind that boost up, and the blocks, in my opinion, are just never designed to deal with that. So they have to do a lot of stuff around cooling to keep them cool. Whereas as a standard motor, these things are one of the most bulletproof and reliable motors ever built. And to the point that they're there with the 2H diesels and the 1H DTs in the Land Cruiser motors. They really are that good. They're very strong, which is why people try and get a lot of power out of them, and that's when the issues start coming in. So for this one, I went back to my original brief and I thought, right, what do I want from this motor? What do I want from this car? And it was basically, I have to be able to drive it anywhere in Australia at any time of the year. So cooling cannot be an issue. And so what I did is I went back to the old school way of thinking when I first started playing with these TD42s, and that is about 12 pound of boost is max. For ultimate reliability, don't go over 12 pounds. So, which is what I did with this one. We're sitting at 12 pound. I've got a slight little bit of fuel extra fuel to accommodate that, and that's just through the boost compensator, and that's it. It drives a lot better than it ever did standard, and it doesn't make a lot of horsepower still. Like, I reckon it'd probably do 12s down the quarter. By that I mean about 12 minutes. There's not a lot of power there, but it will tow my trailer well. I can sit at 100 k's an hour down the highway without any issue. I don't like to tow more than that. Without the trailer, 110s are no problem. To me, that's all I need. The whole point of four-wheel driving and camping, and pretty much life in general, is compromises. You need to know what you want to compromise, what you can and what you can't. And to drive out here, reliability is key. We've been on this road now for nearly 3 hours since we left our last campsite. We have not seen a single vehicle, not a single person, nothing. We are in the middle of nowhere. So to have a head gasket blow or overheating issues out here or blow a turbo, there's no help. You're on your own. So to keep that reliability, everything about this motor is pretty much standard except the things that make it more efficient. And by that, intercooler piping, I've sort of upsized that and upgraded the intercooler itself. Just bolt-on bits, you know, the 3-inch exhaust just to allow it to flow better. Because that gives me the second most important thing I believe out here after reliability, and that's fuel economy. So you are hundreds of kilometres between fuel stops, and some of these places are only small towns, and if the fuels aren't open, if fuel stations aren't open, you don't get fuel. So you need to be able to accommodate that. So having something with a lot of horsepower and chewing up lots of fuel, you just see yourself unstuck out here. So I'm really happy now with the way this Patrol is, the way I've built it. It's not going to win any races, but I tell you what, it'll get me everywhere I need to go. I'm actually pushing up a bit of a hill here at the moment. Temperature's just dropped down to about 87 degrees. It's in the mid-30s outside at the moment, and I'm driving with air conditioning on, fully loaded, not worried about temps at all. That's the sort of thing you need out here.
Truck.
Oh, it's only a little one.
Problem is,
You can't see.
this is what you get after you go past a big truck on the dirt road. And there you have it. It's the first car/truck or any other sort of vehicle on this road for the last probably 3.5 hours.
Finally, after yet another long, dusty day of driving, our last camp for this trip was in our sights.
I go into a new camp spot, always like to have a look on the ground, different tracks, get a bit of a feel of what sort of wildlife's around. Just so you know, like it's really interesting to see what you can expect. And we always see the typical kangaroo tracks, wallaby tracks. They're pretty easy ones to see. And I've actually seen a lot of snake tracks. But interestingly, in the whole trip, I've only seen one snake. And that was while we were driving. There was a brown snake. He came out onto the track and then ripped around as we came and took off. It was the only live snake I've seen. But lots of snake tracks. But here, you look down along here, you'll see this line. And it weaves its way around. Now this is not a snake track. This is a goanna track. And if you have a look, you can see where his footprints are. So over here, as he's walking. He comes around and you can see where he's had a bit of a swish. And around and more footprints. And then you've got the big kangaroo prints here coming over the top. But this is a decent size. You see his toes here, where they are. Now, that's in comparison to my hand. So he's a good sized goanna. So we know there's one around. Haven't seen him yet. But I dare say we'll probably find him somewhere either later this afternoon or early in the morning tomorrow. You'll be off escaping the heat during the day.
So last night, about 7 o'clock, I decided I'll chuck the crayfish pots in. I just put 2 up, and there's quite a few in there, and over here. So let's empty these out. There's only 2 pots, I've got 4 in. That's 1 pot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, maybe. So I had chicken sausage and Alfredo on that one. And this one was fruit salad. I have to rebait all these. Can you bring the bucket with you, please, Wendy?
Thai curry, here we come.
Right. I've provided for my family some food for the evening. And Mummy and Daddy can have some too. Would that make them happy, Mum, for some?
Now after Wayno got all those blue claw, these ones are blue claw out here. Getting a bit keen to get some myself. I didn't put the pots in last night like he did. Now I've run out of any sort of sardines or anything bait, but a lot of people don't know that the crayfish, red claw and blue claw crayfish, are actually vegetarians as well. So they'll eat an apple, hopefully. That's my plan. I'm just going to chop this apple up, throw it in my pots until I get something else, I suppose, and just try it. Seems to be that many in there. It's worth having a go. So I'll chop these up and we'll give it a go. Now it's just a matter of finding a spot to put it in. Wayne's got a few in here. I'll duck down here a little bit further and have a look. I don't think it's really going to matter where we put them. We'll try down here.
And what Phil's putting these pots in, I'm going to check mine. I've been in for about an hour. I'm going to duck out for a drive in a minute, so I thought I'd check them now before I go and see what happens. So we've got a couple of crayfish and some little fish. Not sure what they are. It's the first signs of fish in here anyway. There we go. And that was a mixture of apple, Alfredo and grape. I don't think these crayfish are too worried about what they eat. Oh, just the one lot for the moment.
Wayno's over here. I've just noticed something. I'm going to show Wayno a bit of a trick, a bit of a bush trick. Wayno, see this tree here?
Yep.
This is a wattle tree. Now, see these seeds? I'm going to get a handful of these seeds. The seed pods. Yeah. And then, yeah, get you to hold the camera. Show you a bit of a trick. Gets up a bit of water, so let's slide all the way into the river. There's a bit of a lather up. We've got soapy to wash our hands with. Yep.
There you go. I just learned something new.
Gives your hands a bit of a clean up. Nice, environmentally friendly, natural soap.
Nice.
Especially after handling all those bloody yabbies you've been getting.
Oh yeah.
Hands are nice and clean. Pretty cool, eh?
That's pretty cool.
So that's just a another bush trick from DB Adventures. It's getting late in the afternoon at the moment. We're all it's pretty hot. We're in the about mid-30s. Thought we'd go and have a swim. Now we can swim where we're catching our yabbies, right where we camped, and we certainly did yesterday. But word has it that there's a nice little water hole somewhere down this track to go and have a swim in. So we're going to do that, and then apparently if you go a little bit further, it's a fantastic place, great view to get some nice sunset photos. So that's what we're going to do for this afternoon. The only problem is, just down the road seems to be about 20 odd kilometres. I suppose it is in the country, just down the road. Pretty spectacular country out here. And check out that view. All around mountain ranges on this little plateau. The unfortunate part about this country though, and how hard it is that there's not much help out here. Back in the day, so far away from anywhere, that simple things can usually mean that people die. And that's the unfortunate part about this little spot here. As good as this view is, it also marks the gravesite of a 8-month little girl who basically died during teething problems, something that just doesn't happen nowadays. But that was the harsh reality in a country like this. So always brings this place into perspective. We got it easy. They didn't have it, so lucky back then. Now these old things, they're fast becoming a relic of the past. They're slowly but surely becoming obsolete. Surprisingly, I don't really get it myself, but they're slowly being phased out in favour of solar panels, batteries and electric pumps. And you see more and more of those starting to come out in modern day farms. But to me, it's still not as reliable as these old girls. They just kept ticking along, and the amount of wind we got at the moment, she would have been pumping a bit of water. But I guess mechanical maintenance and things like that. The farmers these days are opting more and more for electricity. And with the advent of cheap solar and lithium batteries and the rest of it, it's a lot doable, and probably might end up being more cost efficient, I suppose. But it's weird, but that's life, I suppose.
Mother Nature always brings out the best when you least expect it. This seemingly perfectly flat plateau just all of a sudden crumbles away into a spectacular gorge. I tell you what, if you were stumbling around here in the dark, you'd think you just walked straight off the edge of the planet. After all the distractions along the way, we finally made it to the swimming hole. The cool water giving us a bit of a reprieve from the 30-odd degree heat. However, we really need to pull up our swim a little bit short if we're going to make it to the next stop before the day disappears. About 10 k's further down the track, and once again, the earth just falls away from beneath us. It's not until you get to this point here that you realise how high up on a plateau we are. It's also here that we can see how vast this country is, and how far away from civilization our journey has taken us. This here is what Outback Queensland is all about.
Well, we've left the waterhole, went to that absolutely gorgeous lookout, and now we're heading back to camp. As you can see, it's getting pretty black and stormy out there.
Well, pretty spectacular view. Might not come at a cheap price at the moment. We've all around us at the moment there's looks like storms brewing, lots of rain. So we're heading back. It's going to be about a 50 odd K run. About 30 odd K run back to camp. So we're hoping we'll get there before any storms. They may go around. It's a bit hard to tell. It looks like at this stage they may just miss our camp. And now it's a bit of a race to get back, and hopefully it doesn't hit while we're not there and blow us all away.
As those clouds become less and less distant, we headed straight for the storm, because somewhere between us and what was shaping up to be an awesome light show sat our campsite. Fortunately, the storm seemed to divert to the north, giving us a bit of relief as well as a classic outback nature show. At least for now, we are safe and can get back to the important things.
We've got a regular processing plant happening over here. All these red claw, they've been in the fridge, chilling down nicely. Make sure they don't suffer, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Being environmentally friendly.
And apparently, what am I cooking tonight?
Green Thai curry.
Thai green curry, red claw and blue claw.
Something like that. I don't eat it, I'm having sausages.
Yeah, this is a luxury we get. Yeah, so they're getting some meat out. Good job. I got some rice here. Mum's going to cook the rice. There you go, Mother.
Thank you.
And I get to cook the rest. So,
Reckon they'll deliver pizza in the middle of nowhere?
Wayno with his shellfish allergy. Gets to just watch. There's no catch and cook with him, it's just catch.
Yeah, I love catching.
We didn't check the ones down there.
No, we still got to do it.
You can do this while they're doing that?
Yeah, alright.
I reckon we do that. I'll go grab a torch.
Well, if you got to wait for rice, we might as well go and do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah,
It'll take me long. I'll go grab a torch.
Let's go.
Shells.
And then
Back in 5.
To it.
Oh wow. Watch me be, dribble in it.
A little bit smaller than what we've been getting,
It's
but
small.
yeah, watch them as they go in.
Rescue the fish.
What's on my fruit salad mix?
Fish back in the water.
Oh, there. Oh, they're not a bad size.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. As good as any freshwater prawn.
Is there a carabin in there?
No. Wayno's dragged this one in and fair dinkum, look at this. I've never seen this before. That is a crab. Some sort of freshwater crab. Now I need to do a bit of research on freshwater crabs.
Me too.
I mean, I know they do exist, but I've never ever seen one.
They're like those little moon crabs you see on the beach.
Yeah. So, yeah, trying to get in.
Grabbing them is a pain because they're so small. There we go.
Crab. Wow. Freshwater crabs.
And it'd be a male if it's a little.
It's almost a female, doesn't it? It's a big flap.
Oh no,
Yeah,
one.
this one.
It's more triangle.
Stop. They're so delicate too, you don't want to break them. Like, to me that looks female, but who knows?
There'll be some sort of little freshwater rock crab, I reckon.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So 2 of those in the pot. Oh well.
We're not going to eat them.
No. Definitely throw them back. Who knows, they could be a species that no one's ever found before, and they're really rare, and they'll name them after us. Look,
Yeah.
a Phil and a Wayno.
Yeah. What are you saying? I'm fat? I'm a bigger one.
We'll throw them back. And wow, I got to look that up. Pretty cool. Oh, back in the drink they go. Right, now that the storms started to take off, we've had a bit of an emergency, had to batten down the hatches. Wasn't too bad, I think we just got the edge of it, so now he's got a little bit of drizzle, all good. Everything back to normal. So we don't normally do cooking segments, and that's one good reason for that. Why is that, Wayno?
Because we're not like everybody else.
That, and we can't cook.
Oh, that too.
But this is something I do cook from time to time at home. It's a bit of a Thai green curry recipe. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Get the pan going. And like all good recipes, we start with a bit of butter and a nice bit of garlic. I normally chuck in, about that much. Sorry, I'm not supposed to say that, am I? That sounds like someone else.
We'll wait and see if a lawsuit comes along.
2 big teaspoons. Give that down a bit. Give that a bit of a stir. Straight away, green curry, Thai green curry paste. try not to make it too hot. I'm not a fan of really hot stuff. So it really is about a teaspoon. No more. Don't need a lot. And that's about it. Just let that heat up a bit. You might notice my frying pan is the lid off the camp oven. I swear by this thing as a frying pan. I think it's awesome. Just a spun steel camp oven. I'm not a huge fan of spun steel. I like the cast iron, but the lid works really well. Coconut cream. Put in most of the tin of that. Put in, I don't know, 3/4 of it, maybe a little bit more. Just leave the rest in the tin for now. You also need chicken stock powder, good teaspoon. Sprinkle her in. Alright, now that that's simmering a little bit, this is when I put in a bit of frozen veg. You got to think the angle for this. I'm not endorsed by Angle, I'm sponsored by Angle, but I'm a huge fan of Angle freezers. And in this case, an Angle freezer. I like to chuck in or add a bit of frozen veg, get that to warm up. For some reason on camping trips we don't seem to eat too many veggies.
They're good for you.
Now, in here, this is just corn flour, gluten-free corn flour. I think all corn flour is gluten-free. Anyway, now, the tin of coconut cream, I like to get a decent sized teaspoon. Get it in there, stirring. This is the thickener for the sauce. Some more stir, and then, as I say, rest in with the wash. Stir in. Let it simmer for a bit. Now Mum's got the rice going. Red claw is still in the fridge, so we wait right to the end to put the red claw in. They're all being peeled. Pretty much once the rice is ready, this is all simmered up. Throw the red claw in. With prawns, normally I do this with a prawn. They're only 2 to 3 minutes. Red claw, get rid of the bugs. Red claw, probably a little bit longer, but not a lot. Generally, as soon as you see that flesh go white, it's done. So, I might go and check on the rice before we put the red claw in, and we'll see how we go. This is all our lovely flesh. They're the big red claw. And all the blue claw. So I'm just going to chop up these little bits. Just to spread them around a bit more. And then we'll add them to the pan. Rice is done. These will only take 3 to 5 minutes, I would say. In the pan. It's actually not too bad. Not bad for an afternoon's work.
Well, we didn't have to work hard.
So I'll mix him in. You see the colour difference, can't you? The blue claw is a lot redder than the red claw. Sort of a bit more clear. Interesting. Bring her up to a bit of a simmer and we'll get him going in a couple of minutes. About one of these cups of tea. You can see that flesh in there, like prawns and stuff. As soon as it starts going a bit white, they're pretty good. There's a couple of little bit of clears in there, so not too bad. If it's a little bit runny, the sauce, I often like to put in just a little bit of almond meal. It's been rattling around on the thousands of kilometres of corrugations because it's been in my camper trailer for a while. So it's a little bit chunky at the moment, But we don't worry too much about that, it'll break up when I stir it in. And that's pretty well done. This is why it's good to have it with a bit of rice. That sauce soaks through it in the rice and it comes out a treat. Turn that heat off. We're ready to serve her up.
And yes, it tastes just as good as it looks. Okay, it tastes a lot better than it looks.
You know, when I spoke about the tragedy of the little eight-month-old girl the other day, there are other stories from this area that are just as tragic, if not more so. This site here, it's a beautiful looking site, but also has a dark past. Back in the, I think it's in the 1800s, I believe, maybe early 1900s. There were two white fellas camped up around here somewhere, and they ended up assaulting a couple of Aboriginal women, a couple of local Aboriginal women, and that they've run back and told the rest of the Aboriginal tribe. And they've gone, right, we'll teach these fellas a lesson. So they've gone looking for them. Now, they found them at their camp. The two white fellas took off and straight into town and left all their camp gear. And just, they didn't want to know about it. They weren't going to cop that. They just took off. So they ended up in the local copper in the nearest town. They said, look, these Aboriginal fellas, they've come, they've attacked us, and they stole all their gear. So the copper said, oh, well, we can't have that. So then they've come out looking for the Aboriginal blokes. Now, they ended up tracking them down with, I believe, the rest of their tribe to this very waterhole. And whatever happened, eventually the fight's broken out, and they've ended up pretty much shooting the whole tribe. I believe it was the whole tribe. I think some of them took off into the scrub and whatnot, but whoever was around ended up getting shot. And that happened right here. And it's history like that I believe it really needs to be told. And it needs to be told because we all need to learn from history. Every single one of us. It doesn't matter who it is and what the history is. There's good parts and there's always bad parts in history, and we always learn from that. But it also goes to show the way we think these days and how much we've all changed in that respect. We all think differently, and it's because of events like this and the history that gets retold that we learn, and we learn what's good and what's bad. And so that's why I always think these things are pretty important to tell. Not for bringing up past and bringing up bad stuff to say you did this or you did that. It's more about so we all learn to be better people. So that's the reason why I like to tell these sorts of stories.
Last day we're just heading out of the campsite down this corrugated road, heading back to the waterhole we found yesterday, which looks really good for fishing. So we're going to go try that out, and got my assistant here coming for a fish as well. Haley reckons she's gonna catch a really big fish. She's so keen to catch a fish, it's not funny. If we don't catch a fish today, well, as soon as we get back, we've got to chuck the boat in the water and go for a fish, look at some flathead or something. Anyway, we'll see how we go. You excited, Teddy?
Yep.
You are?
Yep.
Very cool. Alright, so hopefully you'll see us back here shortly with a fish in hand. Hopefully.
Now these scars here in these trees, generally, always told way back when I was a kid, you see these things, it usually means this is where Aboriginal people made their coolamons. And if you don't know what a coolamon is, it's basically just a basket that they used for anything. They would carry babies in it, carry food, carry water, all sorts of things. And they do it by cutting a section out of the bark of the tree, and that sort of shape. And now where the ends are, they could then wrap it up, sort of wrap them together and tie up the ends with using a bit of well, anything they had that could use as a like string. Now that could be threads made from leaves, certain leaves like pandanus is usually a big one. Strings from different bark that they could use, but they'd knot them together and make a good string. And if they wanted something super strong, they usually used the sinew from kangaroos. So after they hunted and killed the kangaroo, the tendons, the sinew and the tendons from the legs of a kangaroo are really, really strong, and they'd use those to make weapons like axes and stuff like that. Weapons and tools. But yeah, this is the second one I've noticed. There's another one over here as well, and you can actually see where like the chop marks are. Now they didn't just make coolamons from this sort of stuff. Quite often you could line up, you could stand next to one and you just look through the bush and you could line them up, and it would be blazing a path to something like a water source. So you'd stand back and go, oh yeah, there's one way over there, one further in, and you follow it and it'd lead you straight to a water source. So they're really interesting. But looking at this one, I can't see the other one. So I believe these ones were for coolamons. So there's history, I guess, that isn't as, hasn't got relics and artifacts like European history, I suppose. These are the artifacts left behind by Aboriginal people. And who knows how old this is. This tree would be a few hundred years old. So, and you can see where it doesn't kill the tree just sort of scars up and keeps on growing, and it's still growing here today. So here's that second one I was talking about. You can see it's pretty much the identical shape as the last one. So that's how I know it's not a natural sort of scarring where something like a tree branch is broken off. You'd see a knot here if there was a tree branch that had fallen off, because that does happen through natural damage as well, as far as that scarring. But this isn't the natural shape. This is being carved out, and as I said, again, you can see the marks in here, the same sort of cut marks that are in the other tree. So this shows you that, yeah, if you look around, you will see history, and you will see how old these places can be. Oh, Wayno, I don't think the fishing's going to happen here today.
No, a nice place like this, you'd think there'd be fish everywhere, but the only ones we've seen are this big.
Yeah, only little fellas. Like, it looks so fishy, but if this was anywhere closer to the coast, you'd be saying,
yep,
there's yellow belly, there's bass, there's cod, all that sort of stuff. But unfortunately out here on the Western Plains, yeah, it's a bit hit and miss when it comes to freshwater fishing. But it is about time we signed off, I think, on this trip.
Really?
Yeah.
Do we have to?
Unfortunately, tomorrow's the big trek home. So
Back to reality?
it's been an awesome trip. Like, we didn't come here for the fishing.
No.
We were just hoping, and I know it's a cliche, but when they say catching a fish is a bonus, it really was on this trip, because the scenery is absolutely stunning. The flies aren't so good. They're everywhere. But that's what comes with big rains.
Yep.
So, we've seen so many baby animals, like birds and emus, kangaroos, lizards. Like, they're just everywhere at the moment.
Brolgas.
Everywhere so green, the old brolga.
Brolga sitting on a nest with eggs on it.
Yeah, so it's come alive. The West is absolutely thriving at the moment because of all this rain. So it's been fantastic. So,
yep.
But as I say, all good things must come to an end. And that's about it for us.
Yeah, so until next time, we you know, just get out and look for it. Get out west.
That's it. If you want to find out where we've been, seriously, jump in your 4 drive, throw the kids in, throw the missus in, pack a couple of weeks worth of food, and go.
Yep.
You will find these places.
Yep.
I mean, we're not about to give it all away. I mean, everybody needs a sense of adventure, and for me, it's all about that exploration and finding these places that no one's ever told me about. So we're not going to ruin it for you.
Well, there's probably going to be hints and bits and bobs on here anyway that you'll probably, people who've been in this area before, like, oh, that's such and such, or that's such and such.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, it's just...
And there's nowhere we've been that anybody can't go.
Yeah.
Everyone can get here, get out, explore, find it for yourself, and really get that sense of excitement when you do come across it. And when you do, make sure you look after it.
Yep.
As I say, there's been practically no rubbish, no toilet paper, no graffiti, nothing out here. Look after it. And that's all we can really say. And as we say, don't destroy what you came to enjoy.
Right, take your rubbish back with you.
So until next time, see you out there somewhere. In the West, maybe.
In the West.